So specifically on knife crime, I mean, we've seen some awful tragedies in the last year of young people losing their lives to after knife attacks. And in terms of your policy on reviewing the guidelines
Sentences
for,
on you.
I mean, do you think there should be more jail sentences for people who are caught possessing knives?
Look, I want us to be as hard as it's appropriate for us to be, because we must have a zero tolerance approach. If you look at the violence reduction unit that has worked really, really well in Glasgow to bring down significantly violent crime and bring down knife crime in particular. Sadly, the SNP tried to cut its funding in recent years, but it has been significant. It's made a meaningful difference. But there are still far too many communities and far too many young people that fall victim to violent crime or the threat of violent crime, and I don't think we're supporting those communities enough. So, yes, if someone commits a violent crime, they should have the appropriate punishment. And I fear we have a mood that says we have a soft touch approach in Scotland. Look what's happening right now. There are outstanding warrants, thousands of outstanding warrants for people who've been accused of drug dealing. That's not appropriate. There are hundreds, sorry, of outstanding warrants for those that have engaged in possession of knives or in potential knife crime. Why? There are people who have been accused of sexual crimes. There are outstanding warrants for. That's not a fit for purpose system. We've got to address that. And then there's a really big backlog in our courts, meaning some cases are timing out. That's not appropriate or fair for the victims either. And we also have a prison system that is fundamentally broken, and many people who should be in prison aren't in prison. So we've got to fix that system. But also, many people who need support in the rehabilitation aren't getting that support and rehabilitation. Take addiction issues. We know the tragic situation we have right now in terms of high levels of addiction, high levels of drugs deaths. Our prisons have become places where you actually go to get an addiction rather than to get rehabilitation away from addiction. So our system is fundamentally broken. And that's why I don't believe a tinkering around the edges is going to be enough. We need a much more fundamental reform of our structures, our systems, not just in the justice system. I could talk to you more about our education system and our health system, as well as our local planning, regional economic development system. Every part of how our country operates feels neglected and let down. And one of the reasons for that is we've had a government here in Scotland for the last 18 years that are actually not interested in government. All they're interested in is campaigning, finding areas of difference and disagreement, and picking fights. That's all they're fundamentally interested in. What I'm interested in is doing the bloody job, getting the basics right, fixing the potholes, cutting the grass, picking the weeds, not pretending we're rewilding the nation in the process, rewilding Sucky Hall Street or somewhere else that the SNP wants to pretend. Get the basics right, but also do the hard yards of fixing the most precious parts of our public institutions, which includes our criminal justice system, our policing system, our NHS, our education and skills system, and as I said to you earlier on, a revolution of house building across the country because we have chronically low levels of new builds happening in our country. And that means 10,000 children as we speak over the Christmas holidays right now, 10,000 homeless children in Scotland. Utterly unforgivable. So that's why we need a serious government that's going to do the work and do the hard yards.
Do you agree, though, that if you're carrying a knife with the intent to harm someone, that there should be a presumption that you are going to go to jail for that?
Yes. And we should stop the soft touch approach. Yes, there has to be rehabilitation. Yes, there has to be support around youth services and access to other services for our young people. But there also has to be a demonstration that we as a nation are not going to tolerate someone or a group of people demonizing, threatening, and scaring whole communities, and we're going to take a robust action against it. That is part of who we are. Yes, we've got to do the sympathetic side and the support and the nurturing side, but we've also got to demonstrate we're going to have a zero tolerance approach to this kind of behavior in our country.
The way I see it is, what's the difference between carrying a gun and carrying a knife? It doesn't.
Well, if you've got the intent to hurt or the intent to kill, then you don't deserve to see a cuddly approach. You deserve to see a justice system that's going to be on the side of the victim or potential victims rather than a soft touch approach that we currently have.